All right, I'm taking some time out of my very busy day because I keep getting questions online about where are they getting the money for the migrants? Where are they getting all this money for the migrants, and where is it coming from? It's kind of sad that in this day and age, people don't know this stuff already. I mean, it's not. I'm not very smart. I'm actually pretty stupid. And I've known this for over a decade or for decades at this point. And the fact that people don't understand it or realize it shows how good the propaganda that we call the news is. How good all that propaganda that the wealthy fund and finance, how powerful it is, because people don't get it. So, of all the black men and women out there who are saying, we want reparations, and the government keeps telling you that they don't have the money, the reason the government is telling you that they don't have the money is because, as I've said in other videos, the government is owned and run by the wealthy. So, people like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and what's the other guy's name? Bezos, the guy that owns Amazon. Those people, many of them whose names you obviously don't know, faces you've never seen around the world. They're the ones that, as I've said, hire these people and then put them in the position of a politician. They fund their campaign, they finance them, they put them on the news, they allow them to get all of this press and all of this coverage. That's how you hear about them. No average man or woman is going to have enough money, know-how, or clout or resources to get themselves on all the major news networks, get into newspapers, get onto all the radio stations. That no one knows how to do that. Someone with the means and the connections has to do that for you. So it's the wealthy people putting them in the position, and then the wealthy people tell the politicians to tell you that there's no money for these things. And the reason that there's no money is because the wealthy already have plans. They already have their plans in place that you and I don't know anything about until it gets unveiled by their employees, who we call politicians. Their employees will come out and do a press conference and say, "Well, there's a war, and we need emergency funds for the war," or "There is this disease going around, and we need emergency funds to handle the disease," or "We have these migrants who need a place to live. We need emergency funds to take care of this migrant crisis." These emergency funds that are used for all of these surprise crises, those surprises are things that were planned by the wealthy a long time ago. They've already put these things in place. And most of those things are really just laundering tactics to launder money. So when you want to know where the money, where the money is coming from to pay for things like these migrants, the wealthy have already had that plan in place. They already had something set up where they were going to need to take your money for themselves. So really, the money is for them to implement plans that they want to implement, to just pad their pockets, to just set things in motions that they want set in motion. They do that. They put these plans in place. They tell their politicians to release that information. Then you find out about it, and then you find out emergency funds need to be spent on this thing. And then what happens is, money is just written. We take out a loan from someone, from one of these world banks. We take out a loan, and then we use that to pay for whatever the wealthy people decided they wanted the money to be used for. And then you and I, when we pay taxes, we pay off that loan. So the money is not, they're never going to say they have the money available, because they already have things in play, or plans in place, that they're going to need money for. So when we were talking about reparations in 2020, right? People talking about reparations, and the government is being told to tell you, "Oh, well, we don't have the money." Well, yeah, they don't have the money, and they're not going to have the money because they already knew, well, we're going to be bringing migrants over here, and we have a plan in place to fund them because that's going to enrich the wealthy. So they already knew that was going to happen. You didn't know about it until about a year or two later when they were like, look, we got all these migrants coming in. We got to find a place for them. We got to take care of them. Emergency funds are needed. So you didn't know about it when we were asking for when the country as a whole was asking for money to be used for universal health care, for example, back in late 2010s. And the government was being told to tell you, well, we don't have the funds where we can't pay for that. We can't afford it. Well, that's because they already knew that in a few years there's going to be this pandemic and this disease going around, and we're gonna need money to fund that, whatever that, it's hard for me to explain, but whatever that campaign is called that the wealthy came up with, we're going to need the money to fund that. So we know that in a few years we're going to need quote unquote emergency funds to pay for a vaccine. You didn't know, and they pretended that they had no idea anything like that was going to happen, but they already knew. They already had those plans were already talked about in these meetings that these people have. Well, we're gonna let's release this. We found a way to enrich ourselves. We'll release this thing. People will get sick, and then we will frighten them into authorizing another loan from the World Bank. That loan will go into our pockets and enrich us, and then the citizens will pay that back from their taxes. That's what your taxes go for, paying off these loans. So black people and people in general, stop asking the government where they're getting money from and complaining when they don't do the things that you ask them to do with your money, because they 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 already have things in place. They already know years in advance that they plan on using your money to enrich themselves further. And they come up and they constantly create all these little plans and scenarios. Hey guys, guess what? There's an attack on Ukraine. Oh no, we didn't know that we were going to send people from Ukraine to create this conflict and that there was going to turn into a conflict where we would need money. We didn't know. It's a surprise. And now we need emergency funds. Hey guys, I can't believe it. We have all these migrants that are just flooding. We didn't know we didn't have any intel letting us know that these huge caravans were coming here, and we didn't know that we should prepare to block them from coming in. We didn't know. Now they're here. We need emergency funds. We got to take care of these people. We got to do what's right. Hey, we didn't know that Israel was going to attack Gaza and that Gaza was going to strike back, or that Israel was going to orchestrate this whole attack on themselves and then create this conflict where we need to send over emergency funds to help them in the conflict. We had no idea that was going to happen. But guess what? It happened. And we need your money again. We had no idea any of this stuff was going to happen until it happened. Now we need you to pay off these loans that we're going to have to take out in order to get money and pocket it. I mean, I'm sorry, get money and pay off and help these people and help this crisis. So they're never going to do that and give you the things that you want, because the wealthy are using us as cattle. We're used to help feed them and fund them. We're their workers. We pay off their loans. We sustain them. They're not going to ever give us the things that we want because they already have plans in place for us and for our money. You don't know about it because you don't pay attention, because they've distracted you and divided you so that you hate your neighbor instead of focusing on them. So you never know until the last minute, and by then it's too late. Everyone's panicking. Nobody knows what's going on. No one's paying attention. So I just had to make that because I keep getting these questions about where are they getting the money for these migrants if they don't have money for us. First of all, they're getting the money from loans. They don't have the money, actually. They're taking out loans, and then you pay back the loans. When you pay your federal income tax, that money is used to pay off the loans that our government takes out so that they can pad the pockets of the wealthy. The wealthy are just instructing their employees to create scenarios that require them to take out loans so that they can take that money and give it to the wealthy. And then they know that the federal income tax that you pay every year is being used to pay off that loan. Really just cattle and just animals. If you want to stop this cycle and you want to get these people's attention, as I've said in all my other videos, you have to stop shopping. Stop shopping with these people. Stop spending money with them. Stop going to these big chain stores. Stop pumping money into them, into their accounts, because they use that money to control our government and to create these all these different types of scenarios. We are funding them. They are in turn taking the money that we give them when we shop, using it to create scenarios that put us into even more debt and that force us to pay even more money out to make them even richer. It's a really bad cycle, but you're never going to get the things that you want because you're not willing to make a change and to take away these people's money, which is equates to their power. If you don't want to take away the money and the power of the wealthy men and women who are controlling your lives because they control your government, they fund your government, they fund and finance your government and your politicians, well, then don't complain when stuff happens to you. If you want some change, you got to stop shopping. Spread that message.